We've decided to share the ocean with Iran. We've given them the bottom half. We've damaged or sunk over 120 of their Navy ships, with battle damage assessments pending for many more. Their surface fleet is no longer a factor. Their submarines, they once had 11, are gone. Their military ports are crippled.
We continue to hunt and kill mine storage facilities and naval ammunition depots. We continue to hunt and kill afloat assets, including more than 120 vessels and 44 mine layers, and the pressure will continue.
To completely eliminate the entire Iranian naval fleet, the U.S. Navy deployed 2 carrier strike groups already positioned in the region. The USS Abraham Lincoln, along with its escort destroyers, was operating in the Arabian Sea, and the USS Gerald R. Ford was stationed in the Red Sea. These were the most favorable positions for a simultaneous assault on the Iranian fleet from 2 directions, and the Tomahawk cruise missiles aboard the escort vessels could reach any location where Iranian ships were operating. Both carrier groups were placed on full combat alert. Each carrier air wing carried approximately 44 farads per ampere, 1/8 Super Hornets, the foundation of U.S. carrier aviation and the primary aircraft that would carry out the strikes against enemy vessels and demolish Iranian ammunition depots while also intercepting Shahed drones launched in retaliation. That totaled roughly 88 Super Hornets across both carriers, plus additional F-35C Lightning IIs. On both carriers, the fighter jets were brought up to the flight deck and positioned for takeoff. The catapults fired, and the fighters launched off the bow one after another, climbing steeply and banking toward their designated targets. The launches followed in rapid succession, one jet off the deck with the next already rolling into position. In the air, a pilot spotted an Iranian warship on the horizon through the targeting pod. He locked on, selected the weapon, and fired. The missile struck the vessel. The pilot did not circle back to assess the damage. He was already heading toward the next target, another Iranian destroyer at a different set of coordinates. The mission was to work through the entire target list as rapidly as possible, hitting one vessel after another before the Iranians could scatter or take refuge in port. On the escort destroyers, the command came through to the bridge to engage with Tomahawk cruise missiles. The order was acknowledged and relayed to the weapons team. Within seconds, the vertical launch cell hatches opened and missiles began firing. One after another, Tomahawks erupted from the cells in bursts of flame and smoke, arcing skyward before leveling off and racing toward Iranian naval vessels and shore-based targets. Each missile was programmed with the precise coordinates of its assigned target. The barrage continued until the fire mission was complete. Below deck on the carriers, mechanics were already working on the fighters that had returned from their first sorties. Aircraft were brought down to the hangar level on the elevators. Maintenance crews swarmed each jet. Landing gear struts were inspected and lubricated. The missile rail mechanisms and bomb release assemblies were greased and tested to ensure they would function cleanly on the next sortie. Hydraulic lines were checked. Engine panels were opened for quick inspections. Anything flagged by the pilot during the mission, a warning light, a sluggish control response, or an avionics glitch, was diagnosed and repaired on the spot. On the flight deck, the arresting gear crew prepared for the next round of landings. They inspected the steel cables stretched across the deck, the wires that catch the tailhook of an incoming fighter and bring it to a stop in under 300 feet. Fighters returning from combat approached the carrier from the stern, dropped their tail hooks, and came in on the glide slope guided by the optical landing system. In the bridge, the air traffic control team logged every landing, including the exact time of arrival, pilot name, aircraft number, weapons expended, fuel remaining, and any maintenance issues reported in flight. Every detail was recorded for the next planning cycle. On the aft section of the flight deck, Sikorsky MH-60R Seahawk helicopters were being readied for resupply missions. A logistics vessel had arrived nearby, loaded with provisions for the crew and ordnance for the aircraft. The Seahawks would shuttle everything between the supply vessel and the carrier. Crates of food, Drinking water, medical supplies, spare parts, and boxes of ammunition were rigged with cargo nets and slung beneath the helicopters. The Seahawks lifted off, flew the short distance to the supply ship, picked up the loads, and ferried them back to the carrier and the escort destroyers operating in the formation. The resupply runs continued in rotation, one helicopter outbound and another inbound, keeping the flow of material steady so every ship in the strike group could sustain operations without slowing down. The cycle on the carrier never stopped. On the bow, catapults launched fighters into the sky. On the stern, returning jets caught the wire and rolled to a halt. Below deck, mechanics turned aircraft around as fast as humanly possible. On the flight deck, weapons crews loaded fresh ordnance. In the hangar, elevators moved jets up and down between levels. And in the air, F/A-18 Super Hornets formed up in groups, flew together toward Iran, and then split apart as they neared the coast, each pilot breaking off toward his own assigned target, executing his strike, and turning back for the carrier to rearm and go again. The operation ran day and night, sortie after sortie, until the Iranian fleet ceased to exist as a fighting force. Sync to video time.